I don't personally owe my pain a purpose. I feel this undercurrent of pressure in spiritual spaces I've been in over the past 30 years. A kind of insistence, garbed in well intentioned, well meaning language that says everything happens for a reason. That phrase seems to have not gone away over these last 3 decades, but I've thought about it a lot. This pressure of life I'm feeling, I'm told, will turn me into a diamond. That's a common metaphor, one that rubs my raw diamonds just as it is. Wrong for me. Must I prismatize my pain into fractalized light? Do I have to cut pieces of myself off in order to be seen as beautiful? There's this idea that I should believe in some curriculum of soul lessons, that every experience is a tool for my evolution, that everything is happening for me, not to me. But I'm at a point where I just feel like happenings are happening. I don't want to be some flawless diamond. I want to be a human. I'd like to have less pressure, not more. I'd like to stay raw, unrefined, in the dirt. I don't want to live in a constant state of performance review for the Earth School. And that's my belief. Yeah, there is comfort in believing my pain can always be transformed into something meaningful. And I've experienced that it can at times. But it's this understanding that things that happened to me weren't wasted, right? But also, what is ever really wasted here? Yeah, I wanted to believe that deeply. I still do sometimes, that my pain can be transformed into something meaningful. But eventually, that belief started to feel more like an obligation than a comfort. Like every wound I carry has to produce something, some instant wisdom, some spiritual insight, some immediate gratitude. And if I wasn't grateful enough, I just wasn't grateful. But this is my truth. I can feel gratitude and also feel deep fucking disappointment. I can be thankful and still ache. I don't need to wrap my pain in polished gold and wear it as bangles for all to see. What about this being? What about this raw, real, honest self who didn't have to fall from grace, who is rising from form? Doesn't this human also deserve reverence? Do I have to transmute every fucking pain I've ever felt into a lesson? Do I have to offer my ache like currency to prove that I'm grown? Prove to whom? This is all starting to feel like what I now call spiritual capitalism, a system where my soul is a business and my pain has some kind of yield to return, where every heartbreak I've endured had to become insight, where all my trauma had to pay an exorbitant rent just to be shared, even with the trusteds. Existing as I am wasn't enough for some. I had to be constantly, visibly, graciously evolving. And if I was tired, maybe my chakras aren't aligned. And if I'm angry, maybe you haven't done your shadow work. If I walked away from someone who harmed me, oh, maybe you're not a chosen one, Jenny. It became a sort of subtle performance for others, not for me. Like healing had to have an audience. And I got tired of panning for gold alone in my grief. Spiritualizing harm is its own kind of fucked up. Especially when it comes wrapped in floaty, disembodied language, followed by keep your pain to yourself, transform it before it enters my holy, higher being. We're all one until we're not, says my brother Jay. Or to put it another way, we're all one until your pain reminds me that I have unfaced pain. Then go do that over there, alone, until it's shiny enough for me to hold. Your pain, I feel it. And you don't have to cobble it into golden slippers for me to put my feet into just to walk beside you in compassion. Sometimes harm is just a human being momentarily assholey or unaware, kicking sand in your face. And no, I'm not going to stand there and say, oh, thank you for exfoliating my soul. Fuck that. Fuck that. Let's call it what it is. Sometimes it's just harm, intentional or not, a happening that has happened. And you can walk away from that sandbox without turning it into a piss-poor parable regurgitated ad infinitum. Sometimes people trauma dump or anger dump and call it vulnerability, when it's really just avoidance or a bid for spiritual worthiness points. Sometimes suffering spills out because it hasn't been faced. And sometimes we get hurt, and there just isn't a higher reason. I don't think a tree being watching another tree get cut down whispers, "This is evolution. This is for our evolution into a McMansion." Sometimes it's just a shitty, heartbreaking thing to witness. And you're allowed to say, this isn't okay, without translating it into spiritual gold for the sake of your worth. I don't owe my fucking pain a purpose. I don't owe it a transformation. Some things just hurt. And on my path, I just feel them. And some people just harm. And I'm not going to give harm an excuse to keep harming. On earth, people gonna people. But I get to decide how I live with my pain. I don't believe that every moment of harm must become a higher evolutionary state. I believe it makes me real in this reality. It makes me human. Makes me face this human face. Alive in this human experience, where sometimes we feel harm and sometimes we feel harmony. And I don't have to write a fucking thesis about how the harm made me better, or how someone else harming me made me better. It was just harm. And I'd like it if we raised more humans to not harm instead of training everyone to repackage abuse that never should have happened in the first place. How about that? I'm allowed to walk away in self-compassion without learning a damn thing. I'm allowed to feel what I feel without refining it into something beautiful for someone else's comfort. And that's my path. Because growth will happen for me no matter what. Even if I'm planted in poor soil, even if I don't get enough sun or water, in some moments, I'll grow crooked. I'll grow towards some light, I'll grow horizontally, I'll bloom wildly, then fall into stillness, and I'll grow again. But personally, I don't need to force harm into fertilizer just to be valid. If that's your path, okay, but it doesn't have to be mine. Because I'm growing by just being, by feeling, by sitting in quiet moments without trying to kintsugi every fucking crack with gold, without rushing to repair. I grow when I rest. I grow when I refuse to commodify my pain. I don't want to be a refinery. I don't want to be somebody's soul for hire. I don't want to be a rent-a-body for enlightenment. I don't want to be endlessly converting suffering into spiritual capital. I just want to be. I am a living, breathing being who makes mistakes, surrounded by other living, breathing beings who also make mistakes, and I get to decide what matters. What I keep, what I release, and my worth is not defined by how useful I can make my trauma. Or my joy, for that matter. And at this point in my life, I may change my mind, because I'm allowed to. Yet I feel the most radical thing I can do is just be Jenny Lane in this incarnation. However I be in this moment. Just interbe. Yes, I'll keep learning. But I don't want to learn from every single ache. I don't want to turn my whole life into a curriculum for others to study. I don't want every one of my scars to be a sermon. Some days, I just want to feel what I feel. And I hope others can hold space for that with compassion. Meet me where I'm at too. And not try to package it up as a gift. I don't have to be somebody else's enlightenment project. Even if I never forgive what was done to me, even if there's no silver lining, even if I can be peace simply by walking away, that's enough. I'm enough. I'm not here to make every one of my wounds into wisdom and every bit of suffering into a stanza. I'm here to live it all. Fully. Truthfully. Human. In this breath, in this body, in this being. And yeah, I'm still learning. Yeah. And there are nights and days where I learn jack shit. And days and nights where I'm unlearning. Yet for now, in this one moment, I can just be this human, Jenny Lane, interbeing. And with radical love from me, being radically.